Hey guys, so for today's video, we are taking a break from the Chrome because I've done Chrome and I think the last 3 videos that I've uploaded. And we are going to be doing a leopard print design. I'm calling this a fall leopard print design just because leopard print is brown and brown reminds me of fall. I'm also throwing in a burgundy color, which also reminds me of fall. So while this isn't technically a fall set, we're gonna call it a fall leopard print set, just because of the colors that we are using, or the colors that I'm using. If you recreate this set, you can obviously use whatever colors you want, but yeah, for this one and what I'm doing, I am calling it a fall set. So as you saw, got straight into it with this video. I'm taking bare bones from ball pit and applying that to all of the nails, although I wasn't supposed to apply it to the middle nail because that is what is going to have the burgundy color on it. But when I was doing this, I don't know, I just blanked and just like went down the line because that's usually what I do. Usually for my sets, all the nails have the same color base, so I'm used to just painting all of them with the same color. But for this one, I was not supposed to paint the middle nail, only the pinky ring, pointer, and thumb were supposed to have this nude color on them, but they all got the nude color. 2 coats of it, cured each coat for 60 seconds. And then for that middle nail, like I said, it is a burgundy color. I'm using Sinister from Nails by Dev. It does look really bright here on camera, but it is a deeper, darker burgundy color. It's not this bright red that you're seeing right now. In the finishing shots, I think it looks more burgundy. But anyhow, I only ended up doing 1 coat of this. Adding the 2 coats of the nude underneath, I think really helped to not have to do 2 coats of this red. Whereas if I would have just gone in straight with this red color, I would have done 2 coats of it, but I felt like it was really, like, it was perfect without adding a 2nd coat of the red, and I honestly think it might be because of that nude color that I put under there. After I got that cured, I am going in with Autumn Aura from Madame Glam, and I'm using this color to do the French tips on the thumb, pointer, ring, and pinky nail. And I'm doing more of a like classic French tip, where it's like, it's not the deep French tip or like the oval French tip. It's like, you know, the old school, like original French tip, if that makes sense. But it's not like fully like it because I feel like those are a little even less curved than what I was doing. And I don't know, it was kind of like a hybrid between OG French tip and modern day French tip. So I just drew the smile line on, and then I took the brush straight from the bottle, which usually I don't do, but I wanted to hurry up and get this set done, so I felt like it was going to be a lot easier to just take the brush straight from the bottle, but like I said, I don't usually do that because going up around the smile line and making sure that you're not getting that color onto what is the nail bed area is a pain in the butt, and I just feel like it's easier to do up around that area with your nail art brush, your liner brush. Um, but it works. I want to say I did 2 coats of this. I can't exactly remember, but I'm pretty sure I ended up doing 2 coats of this, and I cured each coat for 60 seconds. Although it looks really good with 1 coat, so maybe I only did 1 coat. I don't know. I'm not gonna lie, I don't remember if I did 1 coat or 2 coats. And then if I needed to, I did go in with my liner brush and clean up the smile line a little bit. Controversial opinion, maybe unpopular opinion, definitely. French tips are not that hard. I know a lot of people are like, French tips are so difficult, they're so hard, they're not easy, they're not simple, and I'm just like, I really disagree with that. I do think French tips are easy and they are a simple design. I feel like that's because I don't really think about it too much. I just do it. I draw the smile line on the way that I want it on, and then I go with it. And then, yeah, that's it with it. Like, I don't do all that extra, there's all those different methods of doing French tips with all the different lines, or like, I'll see people, they'll paint, halfway up the nail and then take a cleanup brush and then carve out the French tip with a cleanup brush. And first of all, I feel like that's a waste of product because you're applying all that extra product on there that doesn't need to be on there. Second, I hate when I have to go in with a cleanup brush and like wipe off lines because it like smears and smudges and you have to like wipe it off a few times to get it all off, and I don't know. And then there's also like where you do the different lines and then you connect them and then you round them out, and I don't know. I just feel like sometimes people overcomplicate French tips, and I don't know. I think that's why, in my personal opinion, that's why people think French tips are so complicated, because they overcomplicate, they overthink it, they do all this extra stuff that really just doesn't need to be done. But also, I don't know, it could just be because when I learned to do French tips, I didn't learn to paint them on. I had to learn the old school way to do French tip nails by with acrylic and like sculpting out the smile line with the acrylic and then going over it with the white. Or no, we started with the white. You started with the white and sculpted out the smile line with that, and then you went in with the pink or the nude or whatever color and just slapped that on top, and then you filed it down, filed off the pink off the white. So maybe that's why it's easier for me, and I feel like they're not that difficult, because let me tell you, sculpting out those French tips with the acrylic was very difficult, and it was a huge challenge. That, I will admit, is where the French tips are not easy to do. But like I said, that's how I was taught. That's how I would do it. Okay, here's the thing. I am licensed. I'm a licensed cosmetologist. I, however, have never worked professionally as a nail tech. So I've never done nails on anyone else, other than my mom and sisters. But anyhow, I have been trained on how to do everything, and I know this, that, and whatever you need to know about when it comes to doing nails. So I was trained to do French tips with the acrylic. Gel polish was just starting to be a thing when I was learning how to do, or when I was in cosmetology school, but it wasn't anywhere near like what you do now. It was just kind of like you paint the gel polish on the nail and you're done. It wasn't all these different designs and everything. People were still doing the designs with regular nail polish or even acrylic paint. So yeah, I feel like maybe that's why, like I said, I think that's probably why I don't think that French tips are all that difficult, because like I said, I had to learn how to do a French tip by sculpting it. And that is not easy. And not in the way that it is sculpted today, you know, where you start out with the nail bed and then you go in with the French tip color. No, the old school way is to start out with your French tip. So back then, I got my license. I went to cosmetology school like 2015 to 2016. I started July of 2015 and I graduated June of 2016 and then officially got licensed in August of 2016. Anyhow, so even back in 2016, this is how it was still being done. You do the white part, so like the French tip part of the nail first, and you have to do the smile line with that white part, and you have to get that smile line perfect. Like, you really have to work on it and like really perfect that smile line before you can go in with your what was usually pink. It was always pink and whites. That's what they called it. But you also do like a nude color. So pink, nude, whatever color you were doing for your nail bed color. So then you could just take that color and apply it to the nail and not have to worry about, perfecting or anything. You could just apply it straight to the entire nail and then just file it down. And then when you file it down and file it off of the white, you get that nice, crisp, clean French smile line there. So yeah, that was not easy, very difficult. And then when I started just like doing my nails for fun and I started painting on the French tips, I'm like, oh my god, this is so much easier. I'm never going back to sculpting out a French tip, because I started out by doing my own nails with polygel because I hated acrylic. Well, I started out doing it with acrylic, but then I switched over to polygel when that started becoming a thing. Because like I said, hated acrylic. I can barely even work with it. And whenever I would do a French tip, I would sculpt it out instead of painting it. And then I remember seeing, I can't remember if it was Evie or Emily who I saw paint on a French tip for the first time. And I was like, I'm gonna try that. For some reason in my brain, I didn't think that you could do that you could just paint on the French tip. I was like, you have to sculpt it out, because like I said, that's how I was trained. Then when I saw you could paint it on, I'm like, I'm gonna try that. And then it was game changer. And yeah, never sculpted out on a French tip ever again. Anyhow, after I get that nudish orangey brown peachy color on, I'm just taking that burgundy color again and outlining that French tip, just to bring that red in and tie it in a little more across the entire set. That way it's not just on the middle nail. It kind of just pulls it all together and it looks more cohesive. I felt like it would look a little better to have like a pop of the red on the other nails as well. What size brush am I using here? I think that is my 9mm. No, it's not. It's the 12. I lied. It's the Double Trouble from Ball Pit. That's also another thing. Your brush size does matter when it comes to doing French tips. 12mm or longer is honestly the best because it does help to absorb like any kind of shakiness that you might be having when painting. I would definitely say do like a 12mm or 15mm liner brush if you're doing French tips. Makes it a whole lot easier rather than going in with, anything smaller than that. So after I get that burgundy color cured on, I'm just going in with Pillow Thoughts from Nail Reserve and just kind of dotting that on because I am doing the leopard print. I just kind of do some random spots on the nails, and then once I get that on, I do cure it for 60 seconds. I am using a Nail Reserve color. This color does not exist anymore. I went on their website to see it doesn't exist anymore, but also I posted about this on my community tab, my post tab, whatever it's called now. That Nail Reserve is shutting down. They're merging with Madame Glam. You can go check out that post, or you can go on Nail Reserve's Instagram and see what they said about that. But they are, I don't know if they're still going to have the sale when this goes up, because I don't know exactly. I don't even know if there's post said or not, like when it was going to be official that their site was being shut down. But if the sale may be up still or not, I don't know. But they are currently right now, as I am doing this voiceover, having a 70% off sale on their site. I think just to get rid of all their last inventory because, like I said, they're not, Nail Reserve isn't going to exist anymore at some point. So, check it out, see if they're still having the sale or not. I'd imagine they're going to keep it up until everything is sold, but I don't know. So after I get that all cured, I'm going in with the black from Ball Pit, and I'm using a smaller dotting tool. I like to use a larger dotting tool for the bigger spots, and then I go in with a smaller dotting tool to outline the spots and do the smaller spots in between. You don't have to. You can use the same size dotting tool. You could also use a liner brush to do this. I just find it easier to use a dotting tool. Anyhow, I'm just going around and outlining those brown spots. And then I do add on the little tiny spots in between. And then I cure that for 60 seconds. Also, and this is so like it's a non-issue, honestly, but like it is something that annoys me a little bit, but not too much, not enough to where like I'll like correct someone and be like, oh, actually, but it is like, like it's just one of those things, sometimes you have something that is annoying to you, but like it's not that annoying to you. Anyhow, the leopard print versus cheetah print thing, and people calling it cheetah print when it's actually leopard print. Cheetah print and leopard print are two completely different designs. And this design that you see everyone doing and they're calling it cheetah print is actually leopard print. Cheetah print is just spots. Like irregular spots. that kind of look similar. I'll insert a picture here so you can see the difference between leopard print and cheetah print. It's just, like I said, it's such a non-issue, but it does kind of annoy me a little bit that everyone calls this cheetah print when it's leopard print. It's also kind of comical a little bit that everyone calls it cheetah print when it's leopard print. And I'm not gonna lie, I honestly blame the Cheetah Girls for that one because they were called the Cheetah Girls, but they were wearing leopard print majority of the time. There were some stuff that they had that was cheetah print, but for the most part they were wearing leopard print. So yeah, I'm low-key blaming them for the fact that everyone calls leopard print cheetah print. But anyhow, like I said, it's such a non-issue, and like it really doesn't bother me that much, but like it is a little bit annoying. So someone will be like, "Oh, I'm doing cheetah print," and then they do leopard print. I'm like, that is not cheetah print, but all right, like it doesn't matter. But yeah, if you didn't know, well, now you know. So yeah, I'm just kind of randomly talking now. I'm talking a bunch of nonsense. I should probably just stop talking and let this play out a bit so you can just go ahead and watch this in peace without me yapping your ear off. Otherwise, I'll just keep going, talking nonsense that has nothing to do with what's going on. I know some people like that. I actually kind of like it when I watch other people's videos where they kind of, just talk about anything and everything, or they talk about, themselves and like their personal lives or whatever. But I don't know, I feel like I'm not like an entertaining person. I don't do anything super exciting. But also, I'm not like a huge sharer either. Like, I don't like sharing a whole lot about myself. Whether I know you in person or not, like, I don't really share much. Like, you get to know what I want you to know and when I want you to know. And if it's, like, relevant to a situation or something, but, like, yeah. So I don't really do a whole lot of extra talking outside of, the nail stuff and like what's happening in the video. I don't know, if people like that or if that's entertaining or not. I mean, I get decent views, so I think people like how I do things. I don't know. Also, I just kind of do whatever I want to do. And I do things the way I want them, like how I want them to be done, and like how I feel is entertaining. Like, I never do application videos. I did one towards the beginning of my channel. But I really don't do it because I find the application process so boring because it's the same thing over and over again. Unless you're doing like insane designs while doing your application, like I know Lisette has done some designs with the builder gel, and then when you file it down, it gives this cool design on the nail. Who is it? What's her name? I forgot. She hasn't uploaded in a while, but she does really cool polygel nails. I think Brittany. I think that's her name. Brittany Nails? I don't know. I don't remember. Like I said, she hasn't uploaded in a while, and she does these insane polygel nails, and she sculpts them all out of polygel. She never paints or uses gel polish or anything. So, like, her application process is so fun to watch because she does, like, all these designs with the polygel, and that's fun to watch. Whereas I just do the same application every single time, where it's just, when I do my own nails, It's just putting clear builder gel on, building up the nail with clear builder gel every single time. And I'm like, that's boring. And it adds extra time to the video, which I don't need to add extra time to the video because these videos I always end up with like an hour and a half worth of footage that I have to go through and edit. And just like, I don't want to go through and edit and the application process because it's boring. I think it's boring. So I mainly just focus on doing nail art on my channel and showing you how to do different designs and stuff. Occasionally I will show the application process. I have done that like on like one or two nails, like if I'm encapsulating something. But for the most part, yeah, I don't be doing the application process. I also don't do the filing because one, I don't like the sound of it, especially in a video. And two, again, it's boring. It's the same thing every single time. And it doesn't entertain me. So I don't want to film it. I don't want to film it because I don't think it's fun to watch. And yeah, I talked through all that and I wasn't going to. Anyhow, I sculpted out this 3D flower here with, I think it's light beige. The light beige trippy gel. I don't remember. From Nails by Dev, but apparently I didn't film it. I'm low-key a little glad I didn't film it because that was the most frustrating thing to try and sculpt this out because I did it differently than how I usually do sculpted flowers. I try to do that like pointed petal flower that everyone's doing now instead of like the round petal flower. And first of all, the color that I chose made it look like a butthole the entire time I'm sculpting it. And I'm like, people are gonna watch this and they're gonna be looking at a butthole the entire time. Thankfully, again, I wasn't filming, but anyhow, you can kind of see it does still look like a butthole. But I also chose this color because it would be easy to paint over because I'm painting it with that same color that I used for the French tip on the other nails. And I don't have any more white sculpting gel. And this was going to be the easiest to go over. I was kind of hoping that I wouldn't have had to paint over it, but it just didn't match, so I did end up having to paint over it. And I'm glad I had to paint over it because, like I said, it was looking like a butthole. Yeah, and then just trying to get it how I wanted it to look just wasn't working out. It still doesn't look how I want it to look. I kind of just ended up giving up, and I was like, this is gonna have to be good enough. Like, I'm painting over it anyhow. Hopefully what I'm doing kind of distracts from how bad it looks. I mean, it doesn't look too bad, but it doesn't look how I want it to look. So I cured that on. I did only do one coat of it, and now I'm just taking that same brown that I used for the leopard spots and just doing some spots on the flower. I'm making the flower be like a leopard print, have the leopard print too. I thought that would be really cool to do for some reason. And then just going in with the black and outlining and doing all those extra little spots. I did use a liner brush for this part because I felt like it was going to be easier to get into those little divots that were left behind from like my sculpting tool. Whereas if I were to just use a dotting tool, it kind of would have sat on top and it wouldn't have really gone down into there. And it would have looked a little uneven and lumpy and bumpy, and I felt like just using the what's it called? Liner brush was going to be easier to do this with. Also, I could get the spots really teeny tiny with the liner brush. Really easily, way easier than I would have with the dotting tool, so I just used the liner brush for this. Then after I got all of the black on, I did go ahead and cure that for 60 seconds. Yeah, I don't really have anything else to say. I really don't have anything else to say now. So I'm just gonna let this play out a bit and then I'll come back when it's time to top coat because after this, it's time to top coat. It's not time to top coat. I decided I didn't like how the middle of this flower was looking, and it wasn't looking very flower-ish. It was kind of looking more like a starfish. Still looks like a starfish. But I thought to hopefully make it look a little more like a flower, I took some gold caviar beads and I put them in some rhinestone glue, and then took my dotting tool and like put them in the middle of the star to kind of make it look like the middle of the star, the flower. I put it in the middle to look like, the middle part of a flower, whatever that part is called. It kind of worked, but also, like I said, it still kind of just looks like a star. But anyhow, now I'm just taking my matte top coat from Nails by Dev and applying this to all of the nails, and then I cure it for 60 seconds. You could leave this shiny if you wanted to, and it would look just as good with the shiny. But for some reason, whenever I do leopard print, I always want to make it matte. I think it looks better matte. Although if I were to have done this on myself, I would have done it shiny because I hate matte nails on myself. I also don't really care for how the matte texture feels. Like, it's weird. Anyhow. So, like I said, you could do it shiny, but I did it matte because that was just, my preference for this set. I did also top coat the caviar beads with the matte top coat. Just because I didn't want to go around them. Also, they needed to be top coated because those caviar beads do tarnish after time. So you do want to make sure you're top coating them, although they were coated with rhinestone glue. So it should have been fine, but just to make sure that they were fully coated, I did apply the matte top coat on top of them. Also, I wanted it to match with the rest of the set and be matte as well. I didn't really want it to stand out and be shiny, although that might have helped if that stood out and was shiny, because then it would have been a little more noticeable and maybe it could have looked more flower-ish. I don't know. I should have just stuck with doing the round petal flower instead of the pointy petal flower, but I wanted to try it because I've never done that kind of flower before. And I really like how it looks whenever everyone else does that kind of flower. But it just didn't come out how I was hoping it would. But anyhow, after I cured the nails for 60 seconds, the Nails by Dev matte top coat is a wipe-off matte top coat. So you do have to wipe the nails off with some alcohol to get the matte effect. So that's just what I'm doing here. And then for the flower nail, I did wipe it off with the lint-free wipe like I did for the rest of them. But I also went in with a cleanup brush to really get in, see right here, like in between the petals and up against the flower, because you can still see it's kind of shiny there because I couldn't really get the lint-free wipe up in there. So I just wanted to make sure it was all wiped off to get the matte effect. And this is the finished result. I like them. I like the matte, or not the matte, oh my gosh. I like the leopard print nails, the French tip nails. They're super fun. They give like 90s Y2K type of vibes, honestly, if you ask me, which is really fun and really popular right now. The flower nail, I mean, it's alright. It could be better. I'm not super upset with it, but I'm not like super happy with it either. Um, I do still really like this type of flower. I just need to do it some more and like practice with it some more because I don't think I did it quite right. Also, I wasn't looking at a picture, so I think maybe if I was looking at a reference picture, that would have helped a little bit. But I do think overall that this set is really nice and it came together nicely, and I do really like it, and I do feel like it gives like a really nice fall-ish type of vibe. But that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it.